Hey everybody, it's Mark from Northeast Bass Fishing. How you doing? I've got some clips. I went fishing Tuesday, and this is a new lake I tried. And from where I'm standing there fishing, back to my back is where the ramp was, and I just went across the other side of the lake, started throwing a chatterbait around, and 10 or 15 minutes in, I caught this nice, you know, largie on the chatterbait. That's just a half-ounce jackhammer. I always like to use that when I'm going to a new place and getting to learn the lake. You can look at maps all you want, but until you actually get out on the water and see everything, you're not going to kind of know what it is. So here's the closer view of that fish. And I was just throwing up towards those weed clumps there, running the chatterbait around in about 6-7 feet of water, and that nice 2.5 pounder. He kind of short lined me. He kind of took me by surprise, but nice little way to start. And so, I'm, like I said, 10 or 15 minutes in and thinking, oh, wow, this lake is going to be awesome. And, I caught this fish, and then you'll see the next fish. And then it was a little bit of a lull there for a while. But I was also doing a lot of, exploring, too, being at the first time in the lake. So I kept going up this shoreline, which I guess we would call the east shoreline. And I threw my bait into that little brush pile there, and nice fish. Right there, I was just flipping that black neon tube that I like, that 5-inch tube. And this was a nice fish. Now, he's a little skinny. I think if this fish if he was full, he'd be well over 3 pounds. But he was probably, mid to, 2 3/4. And he hit that tube. That's just that Texas rig black neon tube that I like to toss. And here's a closer view of it. And you can see that brush pile just there in the water. There was a few of them along that shoreline that I saw, and I thought I saw kind of a flash the minute I threw it in there, so I had a feeling somebody had grabbed onto it. I think I got like a 3/8 tungsten head on there, 4/0 hook, extra wide gap hook, and a nice fish, nice chunk. That might have been the best fish of the day. The one I catch, you'll see soon here, might have been a little chunkier, or actually I think the jig fish later on was better. So here I am. I've gone around the whole lake. And I've seen a lot of great structure and marked a lot of fish, but not really catching anything. I had some little guys follow me up, and then I just kind of moved out on the outside. You can see that marker buoy there. There was some rock piles, and I moved out to the outside of that and just started throwing the net around. And first cast on the outside of these rocks with that Ned, and I catch this nice largie. And I was throwing that hollow tip worm, the Somatis baits, which is a great Ned in that brown orange color. That's probably my favorite one. I mean, they're all great, but I like that color and tend to throw it more, so I tend to catch more fish in it because I'm throwing that color. But I do like it. And first time I chucked it up there on that on the outside of those rock piles to catch this nice largie. And this was one of the better fish of the day. I don't think he was a 3-pounder. I didn't weigh any of these fish, but I'll always say 2.5 to 3, somewhere in that range. But as you can see, a nice fish, nice keeper. Definitely at that point, I think because he was chunkier than the that flipping fish I just caught in that other clip. And so here's just the short clip of me just landing that fish right here. You get a better look at him. But a nice fish. So at this point, I think I've got 3 largemouth in the boat, and I've done a lot of it. That whole, if you look straight ahead there, that whole shoreline was lots of rocks and stuff, and I was kind of throwing flukes and the chatterbait around and flipping when I saw it, and I didn't hook up anything. I did have a lot of follows of small fish and perch and things, but no biters. So I'd fished the whole one side of the lake pretty shallow. And then decided, I might want to move out here, get into that 10-plus range, and drag some small baits around. And surprisingly, I couldn't get anything on the drop shot. So this is just going past that rock pile, and I throw the bait up there. You can kind of see some scattered rock there, and somewhat, I don't know if it's going to be clear enough for you to see it, but there's a lot of scattered rock along there. And I threw the hollow tip worm up there, and I caught my first smallie of the day. Not a big one, maybe a 12-inch keeper. maybe 13 on a good day. But he was certainly strong. But it was nice to. I was talking to the the greeter at the ramp, and he was telling me that there's largies and smallies in here, and he's caught some nice smallies and largies. Real nice guy. Kind of gave me a little rundown of the lake since it's the first time I'd been there. You could see he spits out whatever he was eating. I'm assuming it was bait fish. As soon as I pulled him out of the water, he spit everything out all over the place. But it was just chunks of stuff, so I'm going to guess it was some kind of a bait fish that maybe he was munching on. But a little smallie there. So at least I knew there was some smallies in the lake. So at that point, I got like 3 largies, 1 smallie in the boat. I had lost another one. Here's a closer view of that fish. After I caught that other big one on the Ned, I had gone along there and something grabbed the Ned and I was swimming like towards under the boat and popped off. So I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was another largie or it was a small there, whatever it was. Kind of got a view of him spitting out whatever he was eating there. It was hard to grab because he had the hook in a funny place. I didn't want to get the hook in my finger. But, little tiny keeper smallie. But you can see here, you can see that boat in the back there. The state police were out there doing canine training on the lake, so they were driving around with the dogs in the boat all day. However they train them, I'm not sure. But this fish might have been the best fish of the day. I was coming around the corner there, and there's like a point, and there's some weeds, and I threw my jig in there. That's my queen tackle jig. I chucked it in there and caught that nice largie. And he might have been, if I put him on the scale, he might have been the best fish of the day. And, if the best fish of the day is a jig fish, I'm happy. So there's a state troopers, state police boat going by with the dogs on the boat doing their canine training. They had 2 boats out there throughout the day that were driving around. I'm not sure exactly how they do that, but they were out there all day doing their training. But they're nice guys, saying hi, saying nice fish. And that was probably my best keeper of the day right there. So at that point, I've got 3 pretty solid largies. Here I'm going up the shoreline. I'm kind of going in and out, just checking things out, and go back into that 10, 12-foot range, and I throw that net out again. And I'm just kind of sitting out there, like I said, that 10, 12 feet, throwing the Ned straight out, working along, and I'm catching. I'm feeling what I think are bites, and I'm catching weeds, and then a couple times the line is kind of swimming towards me, and then there's nothing there. So I don't know if I was just getting weeds, and then finally hook up on this guy, and I think this was a smallie. This was a smallie. He's a little better than the other one, not a monster by any means, but a decent fish. If I can catch smallies in August, I'm happy. In the middle of the day, with the sun out, with the high sun. So that was on that. That's the only net I threw. Was the hollow tip worm, the Somatis baits. Here's another view of that smallie. He was a little better than the other one. A little better. And I had a few fish that got off along here. So I don't know what they were, if they were small fish, but the line would start swimming and I'd set the hook and then they were gone. So they could have been just small fish. So a little better smallie than that other one. On the Ned, the hollow tip worm. You guys will see him here in a sec. And there he is. A little better than the other guy. So based on all the rocks and everything in that lake, I'm sure there's got to be some, just talking to the boat ramp attendant there. There's definitely some decent smallies in there too. And this will be my last fish of the day. I'm working back. The ramp is around that corner you see there, and I'm just chucking the chatterbait around. And I had lost a nice one on a chatterbait a little while back that got off. Something I saw him kind of swirl at the bait and hit at it but miss it. He looked pretty good, like a pretty good sized fish. This one's decent. Another fish in that 2-pound range. But that's it, guys. That's the day. Not a tremendous amount of fish in the boat. I didn't edit in all the whiffs and swings and misses that I had because I probably lost 3 or 4. I had one time I threw the jig into the weeds and it just took off and I set the hook and he was gone. So So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, new lake, did a lot of exploring and caught some fish too. So I'll definitely go back there. I think the lake has got a lot of potential. Lots of nice structure, lots of nice weeds. Dock's easy to get in and out. Parking is pretty easy along the road, but the road's a little busy, so that can be a little hairy back in the trailer and with cars are coming up and down the road, but not too bad. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Any questions on any of the baits I used? Let me know. Talk to you soon on YouTube. Mark out.